Part 2 of this stupid comment crap. Probably gonna have to dedicate a lot less time to each question this time around because I only covered 4 damn questions in part 1. And sorry about this being 2 days late, or at least 2 days later after part 1. But yeah, as soon as I finished part 1, Canada won the gold in hockey, and the streets filled up with drunken idiots who were honking and horning their fucking goddamn horns. And even though I'm up on the 6th damn floor, I couldn't make the video without all sorts of interference. So whatever. Now it's all calm, and let's proceed on with the questions. Alright, so I understand what you're trying to say, but there's a critical point of weakness in your analogy. The disconnect is between the bully, an individual, and the DOD, an organization. Well, first of all, the bully isn't the person who I analogized this to. It was the person who got rid of my bully for me and later did some other unethical deeds. Soldiers are members of the organization, but they do not control the decision-making process, whereas the bully makes and executes decisions. Well, that's the thing, though. The person who did this favor for me in the hypothetical example I gave in the second to last video, I mentioned that he was taking orders when he went ahead and did all these other horrible things to these innocent people. So the person who did this is part of an organization because he was following orders, and I specified that in the video. So no, it's not an individual. It is someone who is taking part in an organization. So it's a perfectly apt analogy. I agree with your ethical analysis, but it would behoove us to understand the difficulty of the decisions you are discussing. Harsh criticism is probably not appropriate. Well, come on, I wasn't even harshly criticizing them. I'll explain it. It was a reaction I received to multitudes of comments I received on a video that's, like 10 months old at this point. So I was just being a little snipey due to the arrogance of these comments. Again, I'm not crusading against the damn troops. I don't, whatever. That's the profession they chose. I'm not going to beat them up over it, but yeah, I'll just point out how I'm not supporting them. Okay, I agree with everything except the there are other jobs part. Quitting a decent paying job in this economy just because you disagree with the morality of the war is naive. Well, come on, the economy is bad all around, so it would be just as naive for me to turn down, say the Mafia came knocking on my door and they offered me a pretty damn good deal. They offered me 6 figures, and yeah, I could live more comfortably. I would still turn the damn fucking offer down. And it would be naive, I guess, if I only looked at myself and not everybody else who would be affected by my deeds if I were to join the fucking goddamn Mafia. There aren't many jobs for jarheads from trailer parks, especially not with the pay and security of the military. Well, I mean, come on. You don't have to be a lifelong jarhead. You can pick up a book every now and then. Getting yourself put in jail or on the streets helps nobody, and I agree that they should at least protest the goddamn jailing part, but they don't. It's convenient for them. Because, yeah, nobody can criticize them, because as soon as somebody criticizes them, they get called an asshole by somebody else who points out, well, they could be fucking jailed. So, yeah. And it won't stop some other guy from taking your place and doing the same thing you did. Well, if we make a loud enough argument that the project is crap, the Iraq project, maybe it will. Let's see. Democracy has a certain degree of centralism to it. The control of what the community does is determined democratically, which implies that there will almost be a minority. If people decide that whenever they are in a minority, they will no longer recognize the authority of the government, then it's not a democracy. Well, no, being in a minority doesn't mean you don't recognize the authority of the government. That's being an anarchist, not being in a minority. Ideally, if the idea prevails, it is because it is the best idea. Well, no, it's because it was, the most convincing idea to that particular group of people, or because the propaganda war was fought harder on the majority side. To perfect a democracy, this is what must be attained, not a system of opting out. Well, what the fuck does opting out of going to a war have to do with democracy? A soldier opting out for a war. It's a complete non sequitur. Alright, oh, this guy. Anti-bullshit man? Oh, wait, he's going to take a swipe at my name. You might want to change your name to reflect your ignorance of reality. Okay, great, so there's apparently this reality that keeps evading me that he's going to get to now. A lot of people don't have options other than joining the military, and many are forced to re-enlist to go back to Iraq. Right, so I argued this re-enlisting, and I argued the other prospects already, and then you're going to sit there and preface your comment by talking about how that's a reality that completely evades me. What a pile of bullshit. Also, you say you are for a war that reduces suffering. Well, I'm not for the Iraq or Afghan war. Saddam killed 1 million people during his reign, about 42,000 a year. While since the Iraq war, an average of 14,000 a year has died, decreasing nearly every year. Yeah, well, if it keeps decreasing, you might have a fucking goddamn point, but the point is that right now they're not even close to pulling out, okay? In fact, they might, based on this current invasion, they're considering invading Iran as well. So it might blossom, not decrease. I'm saying that. That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the ultimate goddamn point. But again, you're sort of making an argument here about the rationality of this war in an ultimate sense. And if you do find rationality within the war, well, then of course you're going to support the troops. I'm talking about the people who disagree with the war, but at the same time think it's perfectly okay to support the troops in the context of their mission and their particular troop tasks. And I'm just saying that is a bit of a fucking goddamn inconsistency. But if you're going to make a case for the war, well, then obviously I can't convince you that the troops are doing something wrong. First, I have to convince you that the war itself is not something that's going to be ultimately rational. Or at least there's no guarantee of it, and it's a pretty big fucking gamble, especially considering there's other projects that we could work to stabilize where we are going to get a guarantee that it's going to result in something more ultimately, that'll reduce ultimately more suffering. What the fuck do you mean by unethical? Oh, come on, you gotta be fucking kidding me. Let's see, pandering bullshit man, simplistic ideas for simplistic people. Well, come on, make a fucking argument. This is one letter, one sentence swipes aren't gonna do you any fucking good. Okay, so you're saying that they don't deserve your support because they won't pussy out of going to a war that you don't agree with. Well, it's not a fucking because I disagree with it. It's because by all rational standards, it's not going to result ultimately at the way it's looking right now. It's not going to result in something that's ultimately going to compromise for the amount of suffering that's taking place. It's not about my, preference or something. Yes, there's other jobs out there, but not as good as the one the military offers. Right. So yeah, if anybody offers me any depraved fucking job that pays really well, if I'm offered to work in a corporation that takes part in employing children in labor camps, I should take part in that because I'd be a chump not to, because they pay me more than my current job. I mean, fuck this. So why should anyone leave for a dead-end 9 to 5? I don't know. Why should people make ethical decisions that aren't necessarily in their own best interest? Why should anyone do that ever? As for enlisting, re-enlisting, well, that is ultimately their choice. They enlist for their own reasons, be it to fight for their country or for hero status. Well, a lot of it is hero status. Either they do deserve support, maybe not the government, but the troops do their work. Well, of course they do their work. What the fuck does it have to do with my entire video? Let's see, so these guys got into a debate here, so I'll just skip that whole debate because it went nowhere. I think you're getting angry at the wrong people. I'm not getting angry at the soldiers for the last fucking time. I'm simply pointing out how I'm not going to support them in every single scenario just because they might do good things in other scenarios. Soldiers don't choose where they go to fight. Well, fuck, again, I explained this in the damn video. I pointed out how they don't, there is a command, okay? But the fact that the command takes place doesn't mean that they don't know that by enlisting in this organization that there will be a command that they won't be able to, once they're in, say no to without a punishment. So again, there is a decision that gets made. Even in World War II, which you seem to enjoy using as a contrasting comparison, I don't think anyone's attempted to contest your analogy either, because while on the surface it makes sense, if you actually think about it, it doesn't, mostly for the reason above. So the choice thing. So again, I explained the choice thing, and you're going to keep lecturing me that there's no choice here, even though I explained it like 4 times already. It's just, it's weak. Alright, so then these guys got into a huge debate, so I'll just skip all of that. This is bullshit. It's not a perfect system, but it's the best we have at our time. Our military is the only thing that stands between the U.S. being the U.S. and some other little shit in the sand country dominating our country by force, and then instead of, what the fuck, this guy doesn't even make any sense. So yeah, it's basically saying might makes right, which is just bullshit. Do all you liberal tree-hugging pussies, oh yeah, that's what I throw the labels, that'll get us far into the fucking debate. Just keep throwing out these general labels that I don't even fit. Go cut all the fucking trees down, I don't give a shit. Leave just enough for there to be oxygen, but yeah, as far as the rest of the trees, cut them all fucking down. And what if we lost? You'd all be Muslims or you'd be executed. Want that instead? Well, damn it, if the alternative is these endless fucking wars and centuries of wars, millennia and millennia of wars, well then yeah, I'd rather the Muslims just won so we can fucking end the goddamn endless wars once and for all. If the alternative is the fucking goddamn endless bullshit. Alright, so these guys got into a debate, a long-ass debate, which I'm not going to read. I support the troops, but not the war. The troops think they're doing something good. So again, if it's the intent that you're going to focus on, if the intent is going to render the actual ethical reality of the circumstance, if it's going to render it completely useless, well then we can make the same case for what? Nazi troops in World War II. We can make the same case for them, Because yeah, they thought they were doing something good. We can make this exact same case for the goddamn Islamic suicide bombers because hey, I mean, they thought they were doing God's will. I mean, it doesn't get any more well-intentional than that, being under the assumption that you're doing God's work. So what we got to focus on is the fact that they're not doing God's work. Just like in the U.S. scenario, we got to focus on the fact that they're not really fighting for freedom. And the intent doesn't matter. If your intentions are based on false pretenses, I'm sorry, but yeah, you're fucked. The military is an instrumentality of the administration. They don't get to pick and choose what wars are good and bad. Oh, fucking hell. They get orders from the commander-in-chiefs, and it's another lecture on the stupid goddamn fact that there's an order involved. You're barking up the wrong tree. Yeah, I know. There's more than one tree, though. There's the goddamn 200-foot-tall tree that's the administration, and then there's the